Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back to another year of Baseball International. Starting off the year with a short opinion video. Should the MLB season be shortened? This topic was suggested in the comments last week by a user named Lord Drugball Nelson. We got a little taste of a shorter season in 2020. For most fans, it was too short, myself included. In a sport like baseball, 60 games played by 30 teams is not enough. But it got people thinking about the benefits of a reduced schedule. And we hear conversations about cutting down the number of games to anywhere from 80 to 154. Actually, the conversation about going back to a 154-game schedule precedes the pandemic. In 2018, Anthony Rizzo said he liked the idea of playing fewer games, though he understood that it would likely be accompanied by a reduction in salary. A poll from around that time on MLBTradeRumors.com showed that fans were split on the idea. 11,000 votes, 51% said yes, 48% no. The 162-game schedule was adopted in 1961 in the American League, and a year later in the National League, and there was a good reason for it. Each league had previously had only 8 teams. So in a 154-game schedule, each team played each other team 22 times, with an expansion to 10 teams, extending the schedule to 162 games, allowed for teams to play each other 18 times, so the schedule was still balanced. It made sense, but now nothing makes sense. We've even got interleague play, and the number of teams changed so much between 1961 and 1998, but the number of games played remained the same. But does it make sense to go back to 154 games, or 153, or 120, or 81? My first reaction is to say, no way in hell. I'm happy with 162 games. I'd be happy with 300. But I understand that I'm not always in the majority with my opinions, and I'm not on the field or trying to run a team. There could be a lot of benefits to playing fewer games. They could start the season later and eliminate those late March and early April games when the last signs of winter are still hanging on. They could also get rid of Monday games, which always have the worst attendance. So while revenue would be lost from a reduction of games, they could get more value out of the games they do play. Another benefit would be that more days off would give players more rest, especially pitchers, so when they take the field they'll perform better and provide better entertainment for the fans. Fewer injuries to star players is something everyone wants to see, and starting pitchers being healthy and able to last longer in games is something I definitely want to see. One of the main arguments against a schedule reduction is that baseball is a game of stats, and a new schedule would make certain milestones unattainable. One of the things I love about this game is seeing someone hit their 50th home run, or 500th in a career, 200 hits in a season, 2,000 or 3,000 in a career. But these stats are becoming less important all the time. What we mostly look at today to judge a player's value are averages, percentages, that don't depend on the number of games played, so long as they played in most of their team's games. And if you look around, most of the milestones we celebrated decades ago are quickly becoming unreachable. We don't get a 20-game winner every year. It's been 13 years since someone joined the 300-win club. Pitchers are throwing fewer innings now. The only impressive milestone is their strikeout total. Even more so with the records. Pitchers' records especially, but hitters' records are becoming increasingly out of reach too. The records for RBI and triples have long been out of reach. Stolen bases? Forget about it. Home runs? Not unless steroids make a comeback. Our expectations of players statistically have changed a lot in recent years, so it seems that now would be the perfect time to change everything up and begin a new era of records. Reverting back to the 154-game schedule wouldn't see too much resistance. For baseball traditionalists, it would actually be a return to the way it was before, and we wouldn't notice any big difference in the stats. The season could start a little later and a few more Mondays off, so a little more rest for the players. But if their aim is to bring in new fans, then a reduction of just 8 games isn't going to work. The average sports fan won't be lured in by a starting date of April 10th instead of April 1st, and they also won't notice any improvement in the quality of play. That's where the argument comes in to reduce the schedule to between 120 and 140 games. By reducing the schedule that much, they'd be able to start the season later, finish the season earlier, and allow for more rest during the season. Every Monday would be a day off, unless there's a makeup game. There would be a little more importance to each game. Without the Monday games and early season games, average attendance would go up, and with a shorter schedule there would be more demand for tickets, probably an increase in ratings too. However, shaving 20, 30, or 40 games off the schedule would result in a huge loss of revenue. Players and owners will not go for this, and we would definitely see an increase in ticket prices. If an increase in revenue per game can offset the revenue lost from a schedule reduction, then it's possible. But I wouldn't count on an army of new fans lining up at the gate as soon as the new schedule is implemented. It would take some time, and for that reason a schedule reduction this large would have to be done gradually, rather than all at once. And there you can already see how an 80 or 100 game schedule would be even worse. The upside to a schedule that short is they could finish in 4 months. The quality of play would be really high. Each game would be a lot more important. And for the losing teams, the last part of the season when your team has no hope would be so much shorter. But while this sounds like a great idea to win the battle for people's declining attention spans, it will never happen. Usually the only time a major sports league talks about playing fewer games is when they're losing money. MLB isn't losing money. Any reduction in schedule is going to be a small one, and they'll go into it hoping that any loss of money will be temporary and quickly lead to more money in the near future. If you ask me, I say keep the 162-game schedule. Millions of people still watch the game. Keep the idea of shortening the season for the future if that ever changes. Going back to 154 games, I could live with that. If they can make some kind of improvement by playing just a little less, I'll accept that. Any less than 150 games could happen someday, but it's not something I want to see. Anyway, that's what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comments. That's all for this one, and until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.